So we will start with a panel with experts that are engaged in very relevant initiatives. So I would like to call now to the floor Mr. Luka Orehar. He's the project coordinator at the Biotechnical Center NACLO, and he's currently working on the Agrinext initiative, which was mentioned before. And this is one of the biggest projects and the most ambitious one that this organization is implemented and funded by Erasmus+. Thank you, Luka, for joining us in this panel. Also, I welcome Maria Rita Palattella. She, probably you already know, she intervened before. Rita works as senior research at the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology. She's leading the work on the digitalization of agriculture with the adoption of IoT and other technologies. And she's the coordinator of the Horizon Europe project COMMECT, which has a strong component on infrastructure. But as we mentioned today, infrastructure development cannot go separate from skills. And we will hear about the experience they have had on that respect. I'd like to also welcome Jose Manuel San Emeterio from ERNACT and Donegal Digital. Jose Manuel works as project manager in ERNACT, which is an organization supporting EU regions and cities in their digitalization transformation. He's involved in the Donegal Digital, which is an initiative that, among other things, wants to that works on digitally literate communities in the county of Donegal, which is as well very rural. Thank you, Jose Manuel, for joining us today as well. And he will bring also the perspective of a hub of these entities that are supporting digitalization in rural areas, particularly as well on the aspect of skills. And also I welcome to the stage Ms. Brigita Dane. She is the project lead at Symbioza Genesis, which is a social enterprise working in Slovenia. For almost a decade, Symbioza tried to empower all generations with digital knowledge, but they're primarily focused on raising digital skills, providing access to new technologies to the elderly population. And as it was mentioned before, also they're addressing this as well using intergenerational transfer and relation. So that's an interesting approach. Welcome, Brigita. So we will exchange with these experts for a while. They will raise certain points and we will also give you the space. So I really would like this time that you make use of the button to raise your hand. I would like to know that this works. So I hope to see a lot of hands in this session to really make use and take the opportunity to interact with these experts. So without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Luka Orehar from the Agrinext project. And I just would like to briefly ask you to please, can you share with you what is your experience in relation to digital skills of existing and future professionals in agriculture? And as well, if you could highlight already some of the factors for success of this type of initiatives.
Okay, Enric, yes, thank you so much for the introduction and for the invitation. Thank you, Rural Pact team. So I'm going to start off by giving some more context so that we know what we're talking about. So you heard about our Agrinext project earlier in the presentation already, 2 panels ago. And Agrinext is a COVE project, which is a Center of Vocational Excellence project. These are 4-year projects and they're international Erasmus+ educational projects. So one of our project results is enhancing digital skills of people within the sector of multifunctional agriculture. And how do we do that, right? So it starts off with us at BC NACLO. We're an educational institution, and we implemented digital knowledge and skills in curriculum in learning paths for farmers and other multifunctional agriculture related programs. We also teach adults. I think there was a question earlier about the connection between students and adults. So we also have a section at our organization which teaches adults with free or paid courses, and many of which are also focused on digitalization, because it's a very relevant topic right now. As a school, as an organization, we also purchased up-to-date tools for advanced farming, such as robotic land mower, sensors for weather and soil simulation, for tractor driving, etc. And these are also tools that can be used to increase digitalization, within the students in our school. So our project is building some sort of platform that connects companies, work seekers, guidance service providers, teachers, and trainers. And we want to use this platform to show everybody, all these users, like the different options of education and so on. One of our project results is also creating videos that are called Green Job, Dream Job, which promotes the work of farmer. Students will have to create these videos and try to promote the agriculture sector. And a couple of factors for success with digitalization are just showing people examples of good practices, finding funding opportunities for partners, and we try to promote these sort of things with partners and make them more interested in digitalization and entering the lifelong learning process, as we like to call it.
Thank you very much, Luka, for as well sticking to the time. It is challenging. I take your interesting approach to dealing with this particular target audience, and also I take some of the success factors. Good practices, teach them this work. This is necessary so that you motivate them to participate. As well, the issue of funding is coming up again, particularly for collaboration. There was an interesting point made earlier on with the Italian example of the strategy, like how do we make these approaches as well self-sustainable, that also can work in the long run without being dependent on a specific funding. Thank you very much, Luca. I'd like to give the floor now to Maria Rita. Maria Rita, you mentioned you work a lot on the deployment of ICT infrastructure and the connectivity needs. And this go in hand with the provision as well of, or needs to go in hand with the provision of digital skills to be able to exploit and maximize the use of this technology, right? So please, could you share your experience on this matter, connecting these two things, and how you build synergies? What are the success factors to build synergies between when you deploy infrastructure and you address skills as well at the same time? How this could happen?
So thanks a lot, Enric, to invite me. And indeed, as it was highlighted by many speakers already, we have to deploy digital infrastructure, but taking into account the need of the end user and also supporting them in developing digital skill. And in the COMMECT project that was funded by the European Commission in the Cluster 6, we have adopted a participatory approach. So we are deploying a living lab, and this living lab allows to have a co-creation of the solution based on their need. This means that we tailor the solution according to what they need and also according to what can be easily adopted. And in this living lab, we have organized several workshops where we invited farmers, forest, rural community, municipality, and many other stakeholders. And we have been listening to them in order to understand their needs. So we use a bottom-up approach. But in parallel, we also try to understand their background, so their educational background, in order to have a better feeling of the starting point. So what skill they already own and what we need to develop. And the project ran for 9 months, but in a second phase, we will have a new workshop in order to present the solution as they have been implemented in the Living Lab and to collect again their feedback to understand how we can ensure that they feel comfortable with them, they can be easily used. So it is different from before where like ICT expert, they would have been working alone in their office and testing the solution solution in the lab. It is completely different. Sometimes we don't need to have a very advanced, complex solution, but it can be much easier and more effective because it matches better their need, their level of skill and understanding.
Many thanks, Maria Rita. I think a very interesting point, the use of living labs or creating these local ecosystems, encouraging collaboration. Now it's very trendy to call them as well valleys. I think playing it a bit also at the local level is very important when addressing digitalization. Thank you very much. I'd like to encourage all the participants, and I would like to ask you a favor, if you can please test that the hand raise button works. I'd like to see at least 3-4 hands and prepare a question so that we can have an animated discussion. Thank you, Maria Rita. Let's move to the perspective from the House. And Jose Manuel, please could you explain us a bit your experience as a hub with a long-lasting experience working on the digitalization in rural areas? So what are the type of activities you conduct as a hub, and what are the success factors that you see for implementing digital skills initiatives?
Thank you, Enrique. First of all, thank you to the Rural Pact office to invite to share our experiences here today. In our case, what we are doing in Counties Donegal, in the northwest part of Ireland, we are working, or we are doing this in the framework of the Donegal Digital Action Plan. This is a private-public partnership that we have been working since 2014, and skills is one key priority in our agenda. So basically, our main role, or what we are trying to do here, is there is a big coordination role. I think that is the key aspect that we are trying to do, because I don't know if that happens in other regions, in your regions, in Europe, but the problem is not the offer or the existing digital skills programs that are available. It's more a coordination thing. It's also to guide the people, the businesses, to know where they can find these courses that range between all levels, from very basic levels to now disruptive technologies that are more present in our lives. So we are trying to coordinate all of this from Donegal Digital. Actually, what we are doing is an open data database that is going to be a tool that we are going to put to the disposal of the hub managers. That is the second key aspect that we have here in Donegal. We have a growing network of digital innovation hubs. We call them digital innovation hubs, but just for the people to know, that can range between big enterprise centers, co-working spaces, to very small community centers providing some services to the community. So when you want to think about that, you can imagine all type of structures, if you know what I mean. So basically, the key aspect that we are trying to address here is coordination. We are working with the hub managers. We are trying to provide them, or to support them, or to help them, giving them access to a sort of one-stop shop for them in terms of the digital skills offer that are available in the county. And this is the crucial part we are trying to do. Because we are working with the university, we are working with the vocational educational training organizations here. We are working with the local enterprise office that focus more in small and traditional businesses. We are also working with the SkillsNet initiative that are more focusing small entrepreneurs. So this is the key aspect that we are trying to do. And we are doing all of this in the framework. So basically, it's coordination, trying to make a better use of the resources, because of course we would like to have more resources, but we don't see that the main issue is the lack of resources. It's more a matter of presenting them and giving or making them accessible to the final target recipients, aggregating the offer, and of course, if possible, aggregating the demand, trying to have this match.
Thank you, Jose Manuel. I think very interesting point. Starting from having a regional policy that targets digitalization as an important aspect for the future of the rural communities, the role of coordination, facilitators, it was mentioned in the Italian example, they are moving into that direction, trying to aggregate all these centers that can work as hubs and provide this facilitation. We mentioned as well example of schools. We have different types of organization present here that could play that particular role. Coordination important. Of course, in some areas, probably there is a lot of, let's say, offer of training. So how do you guide the different people or businesses? In this case, you work mostly with businesses. How do you guide the business to the right course that they might need related to, exactly, their specific needs for their business? Thank you very much. We will get back to you later. And now I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Brigita from Symbioza. You work in a social enterprise. Again, a different type of organization working on digital skills, facilitating this process. Could you explain a bit what is your approach within your organization to facilitate and the provision of digital skills, particularly for adult and senior population, I would say? And again, what are the key ingredients that you see for these approaches to be successful?
Hello, first of all, a warm greetings from Slovenia and the team of Symbioza to all of the participants. So yes, actually we are social enterprise, but we are mostly and firstly an NGO with the status of social enterprise. We are, our premises are located in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, but we work nationwide, and I will try to explain how we do it now over a decade, or almost a decade now. As I said, our main objective is to empower all the generation with digital knowledge, but we are especially focused on raising digital skills and providing access to new technologies to elderly population in Slovenia. At this point, I would like to emphasize that all our activities are based on intergenerational cooperation, concept of volunteering, and of course, long life learning. Our story actually began in 2011 with the implementation of a nationwide action called Symbioza Illiterate, in which we activate young volunteers from all over Slovenia to teach at that time elderly people how to use the computers. This action was actually implemented 3 years in a row, and we have connected more than 75,000 people, which gave us a courage to kind of start with the project called Symbioza School, which is actually 2014, which is actually a proactive network of primarily and high secondary schools in Slovenia, which I think around 23% of all Slovenian schools are involved in this project, and most of them come from rural areas. So how does this project works? We activate a teacher in the school. Most of the time, this is a teacher which gives a lecture in math or a computer or whatever, and then he kind of activates network of young pupils to execute the different ICT workshops for the elderly in the local community. In 2020, in the turbulent pandemic times, we made a bold, huge step further, and we opened and upgraded the Symbioza School project to Symbioza Community project, in which we gave also other organizations from all around Slovenia a possibility to be a part of this Symbioza community and helping us to execute different Symbioza activities. And I must say that we haven't expected that success, and I will tell you that in this season we have over 220 different organizations from all statistic regions in Slovenia, which help us to execute our activities, and they are doing it at the same way as I explained how Symbioza School was working. In 2020, we have also launched in the public an application called Magda, which is totally adapted, which is the first app ever made in Slovenia for elderly. And among other things, Magda also in a special category called Magda Classroom provides elderly with video tutorials, which are made by the experts from Symbioza to kind of, let's say, whether acquire their new knowledge or in the digital skills. And least but not last, this is our Pride and Joy, which was also launched within the turbulent pandemic times. It's called Symbioza Mobilna. It's a mobile classroom on vehicle which operates during the whole year, and approximately it is on the field 3 times in the week. And it visits rural areas, not only the ones which are in the Symbioza community, but also others. So, and provides them with the possibility to be involved in the elderly, to be involved in the different ICT workshops. So this was just a short introduction.
Thank you, Brigita. I think your Symbioza has been as well nominated for some European awards recently, right?
Yes.
On digital skills.
Yes, we are among 5 finalists in the category of digital inclusion, which we are very proud of.
No, you should. Let me check if there are some questions from people to the panelists. I encourage you, please, to raise your hand and take as well this opportunity. And in the meantime, I'd like to get back to Luka. Luka, what were the main challenges? Can we identify a couple very shortly, a couple of challenges that you faced when working with digital skills and the farmers community?
Yes, thank you, Enrique, once again. So I would again like to mention that the challenges and difficulties obviously differ based on the ages of the people you're dealing with, whether they're students or adults. It's different, but if I would have to summarize it to one word, it would be interest. It's very hard to change a farmer's mindset about a certain process that they've done for 20+ years and potentially that their fathers have showed them. Technology is or can be foreign to farmers and needs to be introduced to them very slowly. You can't just, expect them all to have to jump instantly in technology, in such a massive size. The way farmers keep data and the way they collect data must be changed for the modern processes in farming. That's just an example. And often we've noticed that digital skills seem too theoretical to farmers. And we need to, again, show them cases of usefulness in a real life scenario. So the way we also deal with these issues is, for example, in our project, we have this system where we connected World of Work representatives to guidance service providers to try to include digitalization and these modern processes in just the most basic guidance service for, people that are, for example, looking for work. Also, younger audiences can be used to inspire people at home, for example, and show them like what they've learned in school or they've learned at a course. And that's, of course, going to speed up the process of digitalization at a farm.
Thank you, Luke. I think it's very important, the motivational part. So for farmers to engage, they need to see the added value, and probably we need to have the right speed on how to introduce the skills and the technology with the community, particularly when we talk about a problem with aging on the farming community. Thank you very much, Luka. I get back to Maria Rita, and again to this issue on connectivity and digital skills. What are the main difficulties that you have found in trying to build synergies between these two, sometimes considered separate processes, but we see that they can be and need to be combined to be able to offer tailored solutions that address the needs at the local level?
So I will maybe repeat some of the concepts that Luka already highlighted, because I would say that we can, among the different challenges, and there are many, today I would like to put my attention on three. And the first one is the need of change their approach, to change their mindset, which is the first big obstacle. Then the second one is the need of a policy that motivate them. So this is still linked to motivation toward the digital transition. And then the third one is a language, that is something to not underestimate. So in terms of approach and mindset, of course, the rural community are community that have been carrying their work since ages, just by exchanging their best practice from generation to generation. And they are used to, let's say, look at the sky and know what they have to do in their field. They are used to spend their time in the field. And when you try to talk to them next to a PC, it is a waste of time. So it is something that they should understand more like a long-term investment. And also, as it was pointed out before, it is about aging. So the older generation, they think, no, this is for my kid, for my children, this is not for me. But of course, it is easier to educate the younger, the student, but we need also to show the added value to the older generation to prepare this transition. And then in terms of course, this is linked also to the motivation. We need the support of a policy at national and European level, because they should feel the motivation of following this training that can be recognized as a part of their professional education. And this happened to me several times, that when I organized a workshop for them, they were motivated to participate if they could get recognition from the Ministry of Agriculture that they were spending this hour in training. So here again, I think that the role of policy and the local regulation will be a key. And the third point is language. So when we talk about ICT, network infrastructure, connectivity, we talk in English, we talk with a lot of acronym, keyword, fancy term, but this is not for them. They will get lost. We have to use a language that is simple, use local language, and this is an effort that we must put, but it is necessary for them to understand and be trained faster and in a more effective way.
Thank you very much, Maria Rita. A lot of points, very well structured. I think it's very clear. I like the floor to give the floor to Anna Ventura to ask the question, please.
Yes.
Please unmute yourself. Feel free to ask the question to.
Okay. Good morning. I put a direct question to Luka, but okay, this is a point for us to reflect. When we listen, introducing technology slowly or change mindset, I mean, there are concepts used and very useful. The question is, in practice, what do we do differently to achieve that? I would like to hear your opinion. In this case, maybe from Maria Rita too.
So,
thank you, Anna. So Maria, Luka, please feel free to answer more in concrete terms. How do we make it happen?
So this is a very challenging question, and we are still working on it, and I hope that we will get better results. But it is like giving them information at little drops and in a clear and efficient way. We cannot think that in 1 hour we can provide the same information that we can do when we go to school in the class. And also everything must have a clear impact for them. So what is the benefit out of this technology? Why they should engage in using this tool? what do they gain out of it? Why they should spend time to use this application on their smartphone? Why they should install a sensor in the field? What is the benefit? So this is a key point, and we have to start little by little, and again find some motivated farmer, and this will open the road to the rest, because also in this community usually they like looking at the neighbor. They don't want that his garden is greener, but if for instance they see that there is a weather station or a camera in the field of their neighbor, they will asking, but can you take a picture also to my field that is just next to it, because they trust the other farmer. So we need to find some motivated one and train them, and after we can reach, in my opinion, a larger audience. But the clear evidence of what they can gain is important to push them toward the adoption and the change of mindset.
Maria, quick question. Could the starting point, based on your experience, be in terms of animating first the whole ecosystem, try to bring them together and start slowly the process with them?
Yes. So in the end, you have to do step by step. Sometimes it is more effective to talk to single one. Other time it is better to bring the community together. But I would say that going one by one is best, because they feel also more comfortable. But then you need to enlarge to a larger community or farmer association, put in the middle also other local stakeholders. And in the end, the farmer advisor are very like they play an important role, because they are the one that can help in overcoming the language barrier. Because ICT expert, we will talk in a very technical way, but this is not the right language for farmer. So farmer advisor here will have a key role to help interpreting what the farmer need and explaining them what we can offer.
Thank you, Maria. I'd like to, sorry, to move a bit outside the farming sector. Luka, if you allow me to move to other type of businesses and as well citizens, because time is running. Jose Manuel, what in your view are as well challenges that you are facing, or recommendations that you can provide to others that, or other hubs that would like to support other rural businesses that also exist in rural areas around tourism or others?
Well, in our case, maybe making some recommendations of what is working well here is that if you have structures, or if you have a network of hubs, and again, that can be any type of structure or infrastructure that you can have. At the end of the day, the main asset that we have here are the managers or the people that is linked to the community. So the recommendation is what is working well here is the coordination between themselves, and also having this umbrella structure that is the Donegal Digital, to provide them with content to support them, because but also in the other direction, working with them is very beneficial for us to know really well what the community needs. They are the ones coming back to us, finding gaps, checking what is needed, and then it's us to work with our group, with the university again, with the companies, to try to provide them with the means that they can use to provide these digital skills to the businesses, to the community, to the citizens. So having this bidirectional dialogue, and it's a matter also of coordination and matching the supply, matching the demand. And the other thing that we are also doing is that we are doing this locally, I mean, in County Donegal, but we are also working, for example, with in this topic, we are working with other regions in Europe. In particular, for example, we are working now with Amsterdam on similar issues. And also one of our members in the network in ERNACT, the University of Ljubljana, they are also in charge of the network of digital innovation hubs in Slovenia. We are also working with them to do this.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's coming up a need to try to bring together, you know, the important role of this umbrella organization. We heard from Brigita. I will give you the floor now. The important role that they can play as well to coordinate, but also I think at the local level it's important certain level of coordination with those organizations that are linked with individuals to do tailor-made and individual support. I think is coming up. Smaller groups, Luka mentioned that as well in the chat. And then you raise another important point, Jose Manuel, in terms of networking, which I think came up as well in the presentations about schools, the importance of connecting across Europe. And I think this is also an important aspect here in the Rural Pact. At the end of this webinar, we will present a tool that we aim to develop, an online tool with certain functionality that will allow to build specific communities to take action. And perhaps some of you might be interested to use such a technology or such a functionality within the Rural Pact platform to boost this networking across Europe. But we will get back to that at the end of this webinar, and we can clarify more if you have any question. So Brigita, just get back to you. The point on umbrella organization. What would you recommend to others that want to apply and design an initiative on digital skills? And at the same time, we will conclude. We will have the last 3 minutes. I would really like to have at least an intervention from someone from the floor, asking a question, asking a thought, or just sharing a thought. Because after this plenary session, this panel discussion, we will break into groups, and it would be really up to you to exchange. So, Brigita, to conclude this panel, what do we recommend to colleagues?
Well, I think that the most important thing is to recognize the real needs of the target groups which you are addressing. And this can only be done by activating the local communities, because of course there are surveys, research done on the national levels, on the international level. But for instance, let's say just in case of Slovenia, the recent DESI index said that 55% of all Slovenian population have at least in the age of, I think, from 60 to 74, that have at least basic digital skills. But working with the elderly for almost a decade now, and directly having data from the field, in Slovenia, in case of Slovenia, it is more likely that elderly do not have not even the basic digital skills. They are still afraid of using ICT, digital tools. They are, and there is, and after all, there is still the one big fact that most of them are living in, the elderly population in Slovenia is living in rural areas, and they cannot even, and that I think it's also one of the important things, can even afford to pay for the smartphone, computer, or the access to the internet. So I think these recognized needs from the community are crucial for a success story.
Thank you, Brigitte. I think that point raises as well many other questions. So, for instance, how do you? We are seeing that many policies around skills are developed at national, regional, even European level. Big question. If we highlight the importance of connecting with the real needs at the local level, how do we make sure that these policies that are written at other levels are able to connect with these real needs on the ground? This is still a question. Good, I see one hand raised. Please, let's all give a round of applause to Juan for being brave and share with us your views and post a question. Juan, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Enrique, for this fantastic day. And thank you for all the speakers. Allow me to ask something that is maybe not necessarily directly related to digital skills, but that from my point of view can have an influence, and I would like to have your insights in this. My question relates to the fact that, I would like to know from your experience, to what extent has the lack of proper connectivity or blatantly to make it short, the lack of connectivity, how does it hinder and make it more complicated all your actions or your policies in trying to strengthen the digital skills? And also when the connection is there, if you have felt that either it is maybe not sufficient for your purposes, or there is a reluctance or an insufficient, let's put it in those terms, maybe aggregate demand for connectivity in order for the audience to be digitally educated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan, for the very interesting question. I think the right person would be Maria, who is but I would like to, we have 1 minute, so please let's try to keep it short. And then if Luka, Jose Manuel, Brigita, you want to react to this question as well very quickly, a matter of seconds, because we need to move to the group discussion. So Maria, you have more.
I will try to be super short. So first of all, of course, if there is no connectivity, we cannot enable digital solutions. So even though they are trained, they cannot use them. So I would say that connectivity is a must for the digital transition, but it is, of course, only the first step. Then when connectivity is there, we need to show them that there is like a benefit and train and motivate toward adoption. And one approach can be the community sharing. And in fact, some will be reluctant to use them because of cost. But if you go toward a community approach with sharing cost and having benefit and enable new service, they can be interested. And this can be the case, for instance, they can continue their normal activity, grow their crop, harvest them, but maybe in parallel, thanks to the technology, they can go into some new service more related to selling online the product or doing some tourist activity, like here in Luxembourg for visiting the vineyard. So this will like open new possibility for them, and they can become also more competitive. So this is like where the digital infrastructure can also make a change.
Thank you. So it's a must, it's a basic, it's a starting point, but it shouldn't remain there. It should be accompanied with activities to motivate and see the added value of exploiting this technology. And as you said, I think the role of starting with those that are motivated, that you see they find ways of that their cost benefit is more the benefit than the cost.
Yes.
And working with these more, let's say, pioneers in the area that want to test, it's an important one to motivate others. Final word around this question, Luka, Jose Manuel, Brigita, would you like to 10 seconds to say something, or we are all fine?
I have like a small comment that is not directly connected to this, but something I've noticed today is that a lot of our projects are very similar in a way. And I think it was a good experience too. I will hopefully learn from all of the work a lot of you have done already, and hopefully all the future projects in a similar topic that follow ours can also learn from us. So that would be my bottom line here. It's really good to see that there's so many people working on this topic.
Very good. So thank you very much. And so far, we kind of downloaded a lot of, we put some speakers in the spotlight to download information. And now it's time to move to the other colleagues that are participants to share and debate and continue this exchange about things that are interest to all of us. Many of you shared particular interest in the expression of interest. You are here because you are interested on something around digital skills. So now is the time for you to interact.